Hello, everyone. Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Chandru Chattopadhyay on behalf of LEGUM Literates. Welcome you all for our fourth national webinar. So, before we start off our discussion for today, which is maximizing the understanding and study of law, we would like to say a few words about our organization. So, LEGUM Literates is an organization which is run by legal professionals, academicians, as well as students who aim towards contributing to legal education, practices, and scholarship. We look after the students' welfare by empowering them with knowledge, experience, and wisdom, as well as information. We conduct a large range of competitions and events from quiz, debates, webinars, and interviews of successful candidates who have done so well in civil services, judicial services, including those who have been serving our society for long, like the professors as well as the government servants. Legum Literates is a platform created to channelize the interest, talent, and research in favor of law students by broadening their horizon, as well as providing them the very foundation who will serve the society for the future. With these objectives, we are happy to begin our fourth national webinar, which is Learning Law, How to Maximize It. So I'd like to introduce our speaker or respected speaker for today, Dr. Sanjit Kr Chakraborty, Assistant Professor of the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata. Sir had completed his BA, LLB, and LLM from the University of North Bengal, Darjeeling, and had been awarded the University Gold University Medal in the year 2005. He qualified the UGC NET examinations and later was awarded the PhD degree from the University of Burdwan. His PhD research was in the area of intellectual property law of plant and human rights issues in India. He has several publications to his credit, including chapters in edited books, research articles in reputed law journals, and participated in several international and national conferences and seminars. Before joining NUJS, Sir had taught at the School of Law, KIIT University, Bhubaneswar. His area of interest includes the intellectual property law, constitutional law, property law, energy law and policy, and law and justice in a globalizing world. We welcome you, sir, to provide us your insights for the coming days. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, first of all, I want to thank uh, the organizer for giving me this opportunity, to say something about learning law, how to maximize it. Uh, First of all, let me tell you that the nature of the topic is very much interactive. But unfortunately, we are in the online world and have the opportunity to interactive physically. So my suggestion will be that listen, you just try to follow whatever, and you that what the words or the graphics or the tables which are will appear on your monitor, computer monitor or mobile monitor, whatever it may be. And there which are question is some obviously we will not answer uh, to give answer next whether answer was being given right or not. So I am not here any heavy academic, rather thing which is for me or find it at my personal level of teaching. For last 15 years, whenever I new set of, I found that there are some problem and this inherent structural education or the education system all of you try to, teach the students about the law, about the function, etc. But unfortunately, the process of learning this point, we ignored. So from that particular viewpoint, I have chosen this particular topic, that is how to maximize it. Uh, that discussion can be done in a different format, but what I have done rather that is I will try to take the idea of learning process from the different schools of thought or the different ideas of learning, and I will try to amalgate these ideas into practical format and with some points which we can follow in our day life, so that we maximize our learning, not the learning in its broad aspect. With this, I want to welcome all. I want to thank who have find to spend with us with this particular Sunday evening. So I request to share my computer so that I can go into the slide. হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ, স্লাইড শো করে দিয়েছি আমি অলরেডি। Is the slide visible, Arun?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Is the slide visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Sir, you can start now, sir.
এটাই বলছি। Okay, okay. Now, dear audience, first of all, please, look at this picture. Obviously, this 21st century, it is we count this particular era as a era of knowledge economy. And for the knowledge economy, in order to acquire knowledge, we need the information. According to John Finnish in his book, The Natural Law and Natural Rights, he mentioned that acquiring knowledge, it is one of the basic goods of the human life. And in order to acquire knowledge, you need some information. And with the development of science and technology, there is no dearth of information. All of us, we can find the information or we can get the information from everywhere. But if you look at the picture here, it simply says that it doesn't matter how many resources you have. If you don't know how to use them, it will never be enough. Now, this is a situation that knowledge is nothing but the refined data. And this particular knowledge, when this information, when we apply the information by way of our own understanding and we apply it for a useful purpose, and the experience which we gathered, that is known as the knowledge. Now, obviously, here we are trying to discuss about knowledge regarding law, that how to acquire knowledge, how to learn law, in relation to this particular academic atmosphere. Now, so far the understanding of this learning process is concerned, or so far the information, that gathering information is concerned, I think all of you can understand that we have the information. We have the books, we have the teachers, we have the journals, electronic journals, everything. But unless and until we know that how to use these particular resources, then perhaps we will not be able to acquire knowledge. That information will not be helpful for us. Now, I want to draw your attention to this particular survey, and that has been reported in one of the paper written by Jennifer M. Cooper, that is the Smarter Law Learning Using Cognitive Science to Maximize Law Learning. It has been published in the year 2016, and in this particular observation, in this particular study, if you look into that, in the year 2018, one study it has been done. And the number of candidates, it was more than 1,60,000. That is the 1,60,000 undergraduate students who are enrolled in the University of California. But when the survey was done, that what are the problem they were facing, then some of them said that we face some sort of family responsibilities, that is why we are not able to concentrate on our study. Some said that we are doing some sort of part-time job because we have to maintain ourselves. Some of the people, they said sometimes we remain very much depressed, stressed, and upset. But if we look into the number one reason which constitute this 33%, that is the number one reason, 33%, who said that they struggled with one particular problem frequently or all the time. That means 33% students, they admitted that we find the problem quite frequently or all the times. And what is that? They simply did not know how to sit down and study. And this was the number one reason, that is the 33% of the students. Now, if you have the information from which you can acquire or gather knowledge, but if you are not in a position to sit with those information, to gather this information, then obviously it will be quite difficult for any one of us to acquire knowledge. And that was the problem, and that is the problem. It has been revealed from the survey of 2008. I think this proposition is equally true even today. That means even I found that many of my students, they are facing this particular problem. Now, this is one of the observation, made by Norman, in his writing, that is the cognitive engineering and education. That is the title of the article, which has or the chapter published in the book Problem Solving and Education: Issues in Teaching and Research. Please look into the highlighted words, in red color. I want to read this particular paragraph, that it is strange that we expect students to learn, yet seldom teach them anything about learning. We expect students to solve problems, yet seldom teach them about the problem solving. And similarly, we sometimes request to remember, as a teacher, it is my special that today will learn a considerable body of material, yet seldom we teach them, we teach the art of memory. We teach the art of memory. Now, I'm not asking this question, rather, I'm not asking you to give the answer to that particular question. But I think many of you will agree to that point. And if you try to give answer, yes, none of the law college or the law schools, they take any sort of care to teach the students about the learning process. So far my knowledge is concerned, obviously, in so far the teachers training program is concerned, in the teachers training program, we the teachers are taught, or rather sometimes we are being taught, that how to train the students so that they can learn maximum, how to train the students so that they can solve the problem, how we can train the students so that they can master themselves about the art of memory. But it is the problem that we hardly teach them anything about the learning, that is how to learn. That is why I want to say something, I want to discuss this point, that learning, how you can maximize your learning so far the subject law is concerned. Now, what is learning actually? What is your idea about learning? you know Actually, we started learning, even some scientific study says that we started learning from our mother's womb. When we are in the mother's womb, we started learning, we started reacting some sort of feel, or the feelings, or the pleasure, pain and pleasure, this sort of feeling we started to realize even when we are in the mother's womb. Now, without going into any technical discussion on the concept of learning, we can very easily say that learning is the process through which we use our experience to deal with the new situation and to develop a relationship. Learning is a continuous process that commences at birth and continues until death. Every day we are learning, from everywhere, from every circumstances, okay, from every situation we are learning. And a lot of our learning occurs randomly throughout our life. For example, with some new experiences. For example, initially when you start this Oven, we found some sort of technical problem, and ultimately I learned something, or the organizers, they learned something. Similarly, we gain information and from our perception. That is, for example, if I read a newspaper or if I watching a news broadcast, obviously we get some information, and obviously those information can be reduced into some sort of productive knowledge. Or for example, we can talk to our friends, we can talk to our colleagues, or sometimes with chances meetings or the unexpected experience. Sometimes we meet some person, some teachers, okay, or under certain circumstances, for example, unexpected experience. For example, this lockdown during COVID-19, it is some sort of unexpected experience, and we have learned a lot, that how to deal with a situation or how to survive even the outer world is totally closed for us. Then obviously it is also a process, or it is also a mode of learning. Now, what I am trying to say, that learning is a continuous process, and learning may occur from the different circumstances, from the different sources, and you can learn it from number of ways. Number of ways. Now, if we, if we look into the, if we go into the next slide, I think there is some problem. There is some problem. This next slide is not loading. Arun, just I'm switching off the camera, okay, so that maybe we can get some sort of broad coverage.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Now, when we talk about learning, the first thing we can Arun, is there any problem from your end?
Okay, sir. Uh, I think your PPT is not showing properly.
That is the problem. But am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes, sir. You
Am
are
I
audible, sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, 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 okay. Just 1 minute. I don't know why the PPT is not loading. Just 1 minute. We are extremely sorry to our audience. I don't know, because this is also a technology, and we can't, control this. Okay, and I think this form of slide is okay. Arun, is
Yes,
it
sir.
visible?
It is
Okay,
visible, sir.
okay,
Sir, you
okay,
can
okay,
say
okay.
brought this.
But it is subsequently it is not working. That is the problem.
Okay, okay, sir.
I
Sir, you
don't
can
know why.
continue. Okay, sir, sir.
Now, so far the learning is concerned, the first idea of learning, there are different theories which are in existence for a long time. In number of literatures, but one of the most important theory or the model of learning is it is known as the metacognition. Just no, I don't know. It will. I think it will not work. We have to go through a different mechanism.
Sir, kindly go to your small screen. That will be better for us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Now, so look at the slide. That is, it talks about the metacognition. Metacognition is what that is the process of thinking about one's own thinking and learning. Sometimes I have experienced this thing, that many of the students, they are reading pages after pages, chapters after chapters, but they themselves are not aware that what they are reading. And I usually always tell my students, read less, think more. And that is the very basic concept of the metacognition. Now, so far the metacognition is concerned that it is an intentional thinking about how you can think and learn. How you can think and how you can learn. For example, while in the taught class, in your taught class, all of you know that it talks about the reasonable person. Now have you ever tried to imagine that who is a reasonable person? Who is a reasonable person? Can you, any one of you, have you thought? Okay, because the reasonable person, there is no one who can be termed as a reasonable person. Reasonable person, it is the imagination of the judiciary. Now, unless and until you can imagine that there is a person and that person never commits any wrong, obviously, it will be very difficult to understand that, who is a reasonable man, who is a reasonable person. Okay, metacognition, it is nothing but a consciousness about your own process of thought. Why you are thinking, what are you thinking, what are the objectives of your thinking, what you are reading, why are you reading, and what you want to know out of that particular reading. And that is why the metacognition, it is nothing but the process of thinking about one's thinking and learning, where you have to ask so many questions. For example, it reminds me what? It reminds me of what? For example, a law violator. Whenever the teacher in the class says that, suppose the person commits sin, can you relate any person with that particular statement? What do I already know about the topic? In case of any particular topic, do you know anything? Okay, that is the, I am figuring out what. Okay, or what are the steps that need to follow here. Now, these are the all aspects which you must take into consideration, and this is known as the metacognition. That is, whenever you are reading something, whenever you are from whatever maybe the sources you are taking the information, whenever you're taking the information, you must try to understand that why you are reading this, for what purpose are you reading this, and you try to correlate with all your previous understanding on this particular topic. Now, if we now now if we look into this, the next learning concept, this is known as the autonomous learning model. Now, the autonomous learning model, it was developed by John Thomas and William Rower. There, they discussed this concept of autonomous learning model in a very detailed manner. Okay, and according to them, the autonomous learning model, it requires the students to take into account 4 separate variables. For example, the studying outcomes. Okay, for example, when you are preparing yourself for your university exam, and when you are preparing yourself for a debate competition, maybe you are reading the same materials, but the studying outcomes, it must be different one. For example, if the university exam is concerned, and if it is not a problem based or argument based question, then mere information or giving up to date information is sufficient enough. That the learning outcome will be that, let me know that what are the available information on that particular topic till this point of time. Okay, but if you want to participate in the debate competition, you must also know that what may be the counter argument against the particular information which you have prepared for yourself. Then the study activities, then the course characteristics, the students characteristics. Okay, all these are the parameters. That means, I always say that, all students are not equal. Okay, all of us, we have our own positive side. Okay, that is some plus point. All of us, we have some sort of minus point. So we must know our own characters. Okay, Shakespeare long back, he said that know thyself, that is the knowledge. Know yourself, that is the knowledge. I must know, and I must know, as a students of law, I must know my limitation. Now, maybe some students are very good in understanding the law of crime. It is not necessary for him to know the same way the corporate law or the commercial law. So please try to understand these particular characteristics, particular characteristics. So autonomous learning model is that whenever you are studying something, whenever you are reading something, try to understand or try to figure out what would be the studying outcomes. Try to study, okay, and try to redefine your activities. Try to understand the the course characteristics. For example, the human rights course and the penal law course. Obviously, those are the two subjects which are usually being taught in the LLB level. But the basic purpose of teaching these two particular course is quite different. For example, in case of a penal law, the teachers, they will always focus, or rather they will always convey the message that how can we interpret and apply the law, that is the criminal law, in a very strict manner, so that we can prevent the crime from the society, or we can prevent the repetition of the crime from the society. But when we talk about the human rights law, the emphasis must be given how can we apply the human rights law objectives in a broader manner, so that the human society as a whole may be the beneficiary of this particular course or this particular subject. Similarly, the students characteristics is also very much important in that particular understanding. There is another model, as it has been developed by Donald Dansrao, that is known as the murder. You can easily remember it, quite interesting. This is known as the murder model. Okay. And this model system attempts to bring the surface of the student's consciousness, the metacognitive aspect of studying. That means whatever I am reading, I know what I am reading. Okay. The term murder, actually here, the term murder, it is nothing but the acronym of the following elements. Number one, mood. Okay. First of all, establish a positive mindset for reading and studying. Okay. Establish a positive mindset. It is not like that, I have to study, that is why I am studying. It should not be like that. Rather, you must establish a positive mindset that yes, I have to read, and I want to read for what? To understand. While reading, grasp the main ideas and facts. Try to understand what are the main ideas, what are the facts. Recall. Without looking at the text, summarize what you have read. Okay. Detect. Check for errors and omissions in recall. That is the metacognitive activity. It is known that you are the examiner of yourself. Okay, you read something, you are trying to recall. For example, you are reading something. First of all, you tried to understand, then you tried to recall. While recalling, try to detect that what are the points you are missing. And that is the metacognitive activity that is quite essential. Consciousness. Next, elaborate. Facilitate memory by adding mental imagery, prior knowledge. In the last slide, I tried to mention that what you know. For example, I will give you the example that what is the imagery prior knowledge. We learn so many things, as I have already mentioned that we started learning from our birth. Okay. Now, when I am learning something today as a new one, can I relate it? Can I add the today's learning with my previous one? That thing also is to be taken into consideration. And then the review, that is go over material to be remembered. You just read so that you can remember it. This particular formula is known as the murder model. That is the mood, understand, recall, detect, elaborate, and review. That particular model, it has been developed by Donald Dansrao, and this is quite important so far the understanding or so far the study of our law is concerned. Now, I want to go to the next slide. That is known as the self-regulated learning, SRL. This is quite interesting, and I request all of you, to focus on this more, because take the example that during the COVID-19 situation, hmm, all our structural system of learning, it is not working. Our universities are closed, okay, our teachers are not available, okay, and maybe some students, they are not getting the adequate materials or the adequate information or the resources so that they can learn or they can go for the further study. Now in such a situation, the SRL model, it is quite beneficial. SRL model, that self-regulated learning, it is also known as the expert learning. Here, the expert is not someone else. Rather, here the expert is you. You yourself is giving you a expert guiding, which involves the active, goal-directed self-control of behavior, motivation, and cognition for academic tasks by an individual student. Goal oriented, okay, this is a goal fixed by me. Self control, I'm not feeling like to study, but I have to study, okay. Self control of behavior. Motivation, okay, the entire world is closed, corona, COVID-19, lockdown, etc., but I have to motivate myself that this is the time I have to learn something, I have to do something, and I have to apply my cognitive faculties. And according to Professor Barry Zimmerman, he said that, please listen, look at the slide. I think it is visible. Look at the slide and listen to me and try to follow. Obviously, subsequently, we will go for the question answer session and then we will discuss this point in a broader manner if you want. But self-regulated learners, they view academic learning as something they do for themselves rather than as something that is done to or for them. Okay, I have to read for myself. Okay, and I have to read, I have to train myself by me. Okay, that training or that learning, it will not be done by anyone else. The self learner, they believe that academic learning is a proactive activity. That means you have to take the initiatives. It requiring self initiated motivational and behavioral process as well as metacognitive ones. That means here, maybe there is no one who will motivate you, there is no one who can control you or who can control your behavior. Okay, but here you are taking all this sort of care. You are taking care, you are trying to motivate yourself, you are trying to modify your behavior, and you yourself are to apply the metacognitive faculties so that you can understand this. Unlike their peers, for example, in a group of 10 students, maybe there may be 2 or 3 students we can find who are self regulated learners. Now this what is the difference between these 3 to the rest? Okay, that is, these 3 people, unlike their peers, they self-regulated learners control their own learning experiences through processes such as goal setting, self-monitoring, and the strategic thinking. Many people within the same structure, given the same facilities, from the same university, same teacher, same library, okay, same infrastructure, everything, okay, few of the people, few of the students, they are doing quite good, okay, and they are very much excellent in their learning process, but the some are not. There you have to ask this question, that how they become so much superior. You will get the answer, rather I'm giving you the answer, that they are the self learners or the self regulated learner. They set the goal for themselves, they monitor their learning process by them, and they have some sort of, rather they had some sort of strategic thinking. And here we the teachers we have a primary role in promoting, the self regulated learning, to help the students assume responsibility for their own learning progress. Actually, I will come to that point, that what is the role of the teachers, what is the role of the teachers, and how the teachers can help you. Okay, this thing we can discuss. But basically as a teacher, we have to inform, or we have to give the students the sufficient input so that they can learn by themselves. Now with this, if we actually, so far the self-regulated learning process is concerned, there are three elements. That is the forethought, performance, reflection, and it is just like a circle. It is just like a circle. Uh, it is just like a circle. For example, forethought. What are the forethought? When you go for the study, before you going for the study, you must think. You must have something in your mind, and that is the forethought. The task perception, self efficiency, goal setting, strategic planning. Then performance. Performance, that means attention and focusing. Activity implementation, that what are the activities there are, you have to implement all those activity. Reflection, that is the self evaluation, reaction, attribution, and adoption. Now these are the three things in case of self regulated learning cycles, and which moves, it is just like a cycle. Forethought, performance, reflection, then again forethought, performance, reflection. Now if I if we look into, or rather if you ask me that, sir, what would be the uh, 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 points, or what would be the method for the learning as a law students, then I must tell you that these are the basic studying strategies for us, and I rely on this. I suggest all of you to follow this. These are the basic studying strategies. What are these? That is, first of all, you must manage your time and effort. That is the time and effort management. Studying teachers. Studying teachers means whenever the teacher coming into the class, you must be aware what the teacher is going to teach you. Sometimes I lucidly say this thing, that being a student, you have the liberty, rather you can enjoy that privilege, that you can come and sit in the class without knowing anything, even without knowing that what my teachers will be teaching today. But a teacher can't go like that in the classroom. He prepared himself or herself, then he entered into the class. Now as a student, if I don't know that what my teacher is going to teach today, then your learning, it will never take place. So studying the teacher, that means what the teacher will teach, or what is the perception of the teachers, what is the technique adopted by the teachers, you must know that thing. Efficient reading, you must read it quite efficiently, and how it can be done, I will tell you later. Note taking, you must take the class note quite properly. Okay, and are few techniques that how to take notes. Okay, review, that is whatever note you have taken, whatever materials you have studied, you must outline those. Okay, the main points. Sometimes you can go for the graphic organizers, you can prepare some sort of design, some sort of pictures, etc, etc. And then the problem solving. That is, you must always go for problem solve. You must always try that how you can solve the problem, that is the legal problem. And the issue spotting, you must find out the issue in a case, in a legal case or in a legal suit. There is a story behind it. For example, I am saying that X took a loan from Y, okay, of rupees 500, and Y is saying, yes, I took. And subsequently they said he has not paid. But the other people, he is saying that, no, I have taken the loan, but I have paid. So here the issue is that whether the loan has been paid or not. Please try to understand that in law, or students of law, they must understand the distinction between the fact and the presumption. Okay, the fact and the presumption. You are not entitled to presume anything, rather you have to find out the fact, and you have to find out the fact in issue. There are so many issues, there are so many facts, There are so many facts. For example, my name is Sanjit. It is a fact. Today is sunny. It is a fact. Today is Sunday. It is a fact. But these facts need not to be proved before the court of law. If I say that no, my name is not Sanjit, whereas all my documents showing my name as Sanjit, then it is a fact in issue which is to be decided by the court of law. There is a very good writing written by Paul T. Wangnin, that is the learning strategies for law students. I have taken this basic studying strategies from this particular point. Now, if you keep in mind, if you keep in mind this basic studying target or the strategies, then you may get this type of packed learning cycle. This is known as the packed learning cycle. I don't know why it is not working. The packed learning cycle. This is the procure, apply, consider, transform. Procure, apply, consider, transfer. Procure, that means knowledge or ability. You collect the information, okay, you gather the information reduced into some sort of what to say, that is useful information. Information is the refined form of data, and knowledge is the useful information. Okay, you are getting number of information throughout the day, but all informations are not useful, not necessary. Only the useful information, okay, which may solve your day-to-day life problem, that can be treated as a knowledge. So first you procure knowledge, then apply the knowledge, put it into practice. Okay, after application you may find that this particular knowledge is effective, or you may find this is not effective. So evaluate and assess, and on the basis of the evaluation, modify and adapt, that is the transform. My teacher, that is Professor NL Mitra, he always used to always say that if you want to learn, you unlearn yourself. That means the learning or my knowledge which I gathered 10 years back, this knowledge may not be adaptable, then this particular knowledge may not be efficient in the today's perspective. So in such a circumstances, I have to procure knowledge, I have to procure information, then I have to apply, then I have to consider, then I have to transform. Now, if we then how all these things can be done? Till now I have discussed that what is knowledge and what are the different methods or the process of learning, and what can be the better learning process. Now my topic of discussion is learning law. So now I am entering into that, how can I learn law in a better way? Now, before going into this discussion, I want to draw your attention to this particular quotation, one by Thomas Jefferson, and one that is the eminent jurist, that is the Mark Galanter. Arun, am I audible? Can you hear me properly?
Yes, sir. Sir, you are audible, sir.
Slide is visible now.
Yes, nicely working, nicely visible, sir.
Okay. Now, so far, just look at the quotation. Thomas Jefferson, he said, I quote, "The study of the law is useful in a variety of points of view. It qualifies a man to be useful to himself, to his neighbors, and to the public. In general, there is a perception that a person who has nothing to do, generally he or she study law. Maybe this perception, it has some sort of historical basis. It is historically true. Even the books written by V.D. Kulshrestha, The Legal History of India, there he mentioned that yes, it has some relevance, but try to understand that study of law is quite useful. It is useful for himself, for the neighbors, and to the public at large. Even if I go to the observation as made by Mark Galanter, He said that no profession is more honorable than the law. This is the only profession which finds mention in the Constitution of India is of a legal practitioner in Article 22. So, by reading these two quotations of two different scholars, what I am trying to emphasize that law, as a subject, it is quite useful. You know, law as a profession, it is quite honorable, and perhaps this is the only profession or only you know uh, you know the way of life which has some sort of constitutional mention. No other profession has been mentioned in the constitution, but if you look into article 22, you will find that it has been mentioned that a legal practitioner. So the study of law, it is quite important. It is important, or it is useful, not for himself or herself, to his neighbors also, and to the public at large. Now, why we are so worried about the maximizing learning? Why? This is an observation made by Sophie M. Sparrow, professor of law, University of New Hampshire. Once she observed that working in the legal profession requires professionals to constantly teach themselves new principles and apply them to increasingly complex situations. Every day, the society is going through some sort of new experiences. For example, even some 10 days back, there was, the law, no law regarding the farmers' bill or the farmers' ordinance, which we have today. Okay, 5 days back, the Essential Commodities Act, it was different, and the rice and all these things were within a purview of the essential commodity. But today, you just look into the law after this amendment by the present government. Now these are not treated as an essential commodity. So the society is becoming complex. For example, 20-25 years back, defamation, it was only take place by way of literal word or writing form. But today we are, making some sort of statement and we just uploading it on our social media. So now how to trace? The society is becoming much more complex because of the complexities of the technology, science and technology. So the society is becoming complex, and in order to resolve those complex problems, we have to maximize our learning. And this maximization should be done or must be done during the law school. Because if we maximize our learning during the law school, it can help all law students' potential career growth. Now, in order to have a potential in our career, or in order to develop ourselves as a truly, legally trained personnel, we have to maximize our learning. Again, I am repeating, I am not here to discuss about the learning. I am here to discuss how to maximize our learning process when we are in the school or the law colleges in the structural form of a system of learning. In view of this, or in background of this, these are the objectives of today's discussion: to describe law or legal process or the legal problems, to discuss how to look up the points of law and how to tackle the legal problems, and to discuss how to make best use of time available for study, because we are trying to maximize our learning. Now here I am coming with a very basic question, that what is law? I know many of you, you are maybe, you are possibly, you are trying to say something, but unfortunately I can't take your answer. But it is a very simple question: what is law? What is law? Just think that what is law. Now, whatever answer you want to give, you just keep it in your mind. Now, what is visible in your monitor? This is the first alphabet, A. A. Because what is law? Why I ask this question? Because we are trying to maximize our learning about law, or learning law. Now, what is law? We have to understand this. Now, let us try to understand some sort of in the ways which we have learned in our earlier or the in our primary stage of learning. For example, this is A. Now, when this short, that is the A, is coming, uh, are you thinking about something? Are you thinking about something? Any name? For example, just try to imagine our childhood learning process. Our mother used to teach us like A for what? A for what? A for what? A for apple. A for apple. Now, A for apple. Now, what we understand? A for apple. When I say that A for apple, when I say that A for apple, do you think this one, or you are trying to imagine something? Are you trying to imagine something? Are you trying to imagine this one? This is known as the pictorial representation form of learning. You just remember our childhood learning: A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, like that. Okay. Now, obviously, whenever we studied, actually, A for apple, whenever A was uttered, or we utter, or we see A, and obviously we see this apple, actually these are the literal representation. This is known as the literal representation. But in addition to this literal representation, we always try to understand, or we always try to remember something through the pictorial representation. That is A for apple, and we remember this thing, we try to imagine this thing rather than the literal representation. Similarly, just look at this picture. Just look at this picture. Are you thinking about this? That is the mother. Are you thinking about your own mother? Obviously, you can't give answer to me. You just give answer to yourself. That maybe whenever we saw the picture, this, immediately it comes to our mind mother. That is MOTHER. Okay, mother. And possibly many of us, we started thinking about our own mother. That is the pictorial form of learning. Similarly, I think many of you have come across this picture in your social media account, like Twitter, or the Facebook or the WhatsApp, etc. This is a pictorial form of learning. Equality. See, all of them, they have been provided a similar tool. Okay, and the height of the tool is quite similar. Okay, this is the equality. Whenever your teacher teach you in the class article 14, equality, and subsequently your teacher teach article 15, that is the special provisions relating to women and children, or the reservation related provision, sometimes we feel that why it is not it a violation of equality. So your teacher might have told you that equality does not mean mathematical equality. This is the mathematical equality. They have been given the same tool. The height is same. But, when we give the tool of the same height, see, this person, he can't see anything. A cricket is going on. These players, they are playing cricket in the field. But this person, he can't see anything. And he is quite able to see the game, quite easily. And for this person, it is a little bit difficult. But if we arrange this particular resources, that is the tool, this tool, in this way, then see, these three persons, they are in the equal position. Rather, all of them, they can see the game, that is the cricket, which is taking place in the field quite easily. Now, this is equality, maybe, okay, and this is justice. And law is there in order to ensure justice, and this justice, it is not always visible, okay, because it is a normative concept. Law is there in order to ensure justice, and we, the lawyers or the law students, obviously, actually, we are trying to be a lawyer. Lawyer does not mean a person who is practicing before the court. Actually, he is known as advocate, okay. A lawyer is a person who knows law or having the knowledge of law. He is the lawyer. And a lawyer, when he enrolled his name as per the procedure, as prescribed under the Indian Advocates Act 1961, then he will or she will be termed as an advocate. And it is only an advocate who is entitled to practice before the court of law. So we, the lawyer, that means the people who are trying to understand law, actually, we are just like the medical practitioners. We are the physician. We are not concerned about the body of the patient. Rather, we are very much concerned about the disease which exists within the body of the patient. Okay. As a lawyer, we are very much concerned about the injustice which exists within the society. Here, injustice exists. Okay. Some person belongs to the category haves not. Okay. Some person, they can enjoy their right. Some person, because of the non-availability of the resources, not in a position to enjoy their rights. So the division of the resources, that if I give this two tools or chair to this particular person, one chair to this particular person, and for him nothing, then obviously they can enjoy the game in an equal manner, and that is the justice. And that is the pictorial representation, or the, this is known as the visual representation. Now, law, whenever we say it creates some, obviously, it is a question which we have to answer. Again, this loading this slide is becoming a problem. Even then, let me try. Now, whenever we say that what is law, we need to understand some sort of theoretical discussion about what the law is. And sometimes it is very difficult to give any pictorial representation of the law itself. But I think, with our cognitive faculty, or the way we learn, or the way we understand this particular concept, I think we will be able to know that what the law is and how to maximize our learning from this particular perspective. Just please be patient, please bear with us. I'm facing a few technical problem. Now, whenever the term law occurs, or whenever someone say laws, do we think about this? I'm asking this question. Please look at the monitor and try to give answer to this question. Okay, whenever the law, whenever we heard about the term law, do we imagine that this is the law, or what is your opinion that we think this is the law? That is the parliament from where the law emanates or the law originates, or this is the parliament where the law is being made, or does the law mean the enacted laws which have been enacted by the parliament? Because many of the students are there in the audience, maybe who are doing their LLM, or in the third year or fourth year level, they can understand that law does not only means the enacted laws. Okay, because law does not only mean what the law is, but it also includes the study of the law it ought to be. Now, enacted law, maybe it qualifies the criteria of the positive law. It is the Austinian concept of law. But if we go through the understanding of the natural law, maybe those are not codified law, those are not enacted laws, but those are also the law. Or does the law means this? That is the law enforcement. Do you think that this is the law? Or execution of judgment? For example, the death sentence. Obviously, we have the legal provisions that in rarest of the rare offenses, the capital punishment can be given. But though there is a law and it is a written law, there is a group of people, or there is a large number of people who are against this punishment. Now, law as it is, but people, they are trying to say that the law should not be like that. That is the execution of judgment in the form of a capital punishment. It should not be like that. Or do you think law is that the punishment, keeping a person behind the bar? Or this is a child labor? Okay, the constitution said that all of us, we have the equal life. All of us, we have the right to live with human dignity. Whereas just look at the situation that some child labor, they are working in the bricks field, and this is a violation of law. Now, actually, what I am trying to say, or I tried to give you an impression that whenever the term law occurs, actually it gives us all these things. All of a sudden, we try to start thinking like all this, that law means some books, or the law means parliament, okay, or law means the constitution, the book of constitution, or the law means all these things. That is the pictorial representation. It is just like A for apple, but whenever we say apple, the mental imagination, we always see that it is a fruits, and this is the shape of the fruits, it is available in the market. This sort of mental imagination, it comes to our mind. Similarly, whenever we use the term law, these are the mental imagination which comes to our mind. Now, obviously, law is not a pure science. Okay, law is not a pure science, but there is and there must be a scientific approach to the study of law. Now, let me tell you, let me tell you that what is pure science. What is pure science? Now, this is an example of pure science. That is the two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen is equal to one molecule of water. Okay, that is hydrogen, two molecule of hydrogen and oxygen is equal to H2O. And this is a pure science, you know. If you apply this formula, okay, if you apply this formula and the prescribed pressure and temperature, you can produce water, one molecule of water, by mixing two atoms of hydrogen and one atoms of oxygen. Any sorry. Sorry. Now, this is the scientific truth. This is an example of a pure science, and this pure science, it remains unchanged, or that is the universal truth. But law is not a pure science. Okay, because the applicability of the law, the reaction of the law throughout the world is quite different. Well, the meaning of the women's liberty in India and the meanings of the term women's liberty in USA or other developed country is not different. It is not same. They are quite different. Okay, right to life in our country and right to life in other some developed country, it has some differences. So law is not a pure science. Rather, as Kelson said, that law is a normative science. It derives from the higher norms. Okay, it derives from the higher norms, and the norms changed with the changing, with the change of the society. The laws are quite different. Okay, laws are quite different from society to society, state to state, because law depends upon the socio-economic circumstances or the different sociological variables of a particular society. Though in the recent times, one initiative is going on for the unification of laws, or sometimes we are talking about the global law. For example, in case of intellectual property law or international humanitarian law, we are moving towards we are moving towards some sort of unification of the global laws. The students who ever studied intellectual property law, you have already found, I think, that is the global intellectual property law. That means the TRIPS, or the trade related intellectual property rights, it framed some sort of minimum guidelines and asked all the participating states to make for a law fulfilling all those minimum obligations. But whatever I am trying to say, that this particular study of the law or the application of the law is not similar, because it is not a pure science. So law results from a continuous striving of a developed workable set of rules that balance the individual and the group of rights in our society. Now, when we talk about that law is not a science, but there must be a scientific approach to study law, obviously we will face some basic questions. What are the basic questions? Look at the monitor. How to read law, how to understand law, how to interpret law, how law develops, where from law originates, who makes the law, what are the functions of law, how to apply law, how to determine the validity of law, is it necessary to obey law? Now, all these are the questions, and we as a student of law, we have to go for a systematic study, or rather scientific, we have to follow a scientific method to find out the answer of all these questions, to have a better understanding or maximizing our understanding as to the study of law. I know that all of you know something at least, or you know many things even better than me about some of the question, but unfortunately I am not able to take your answer. Now I am coming to this next topic, that is the law institutes and the law teachers. And I have put some questions here. Please look at the question, that how to learn law. I have already discussed some model of law, model of learning, or the methods of learning. So from this discussion, now I will try to give you a suggestive answer. How to learn law? What is the function of a law institute? Every one of us, every one of you, we are studying in a particular college or the law universities or the law department. What are the function of those institutions? What you expect from us, that is from the teachers? Now here I must tell you that the role of a teacher has undergone a radical change. The teacher 20 years back, the function of a teacher 20 years back, and now there is a significant difference. At one point of time, when there was scarcity of information, the teacher primarily played the role of informer. The teacher used to give you the information. But today there is no dearth of information. For example, all of you are listening to me by using the technology. That means with the development of science and technology, there is an availability of the informations. We have number of informations. So as a teacher, now our role does not remain of giving information. Rather, our role has undergone a radical change, which I have already mentioned, or I will mention again later after some time. What are the functions of a teacher in the modern concept of learning? What the teachers can do for you? What is your expectation from the teachers? Now, usually in the law institute, you will find that primarily we go to our university or the department or to the law colleges to attend lectures or classes. And this is the primary task the institute usually do. That is, they organizes lectures or classes. So, there are some contemporary study that lectures and the classes are the suitable method for learning. Even if we make a some sort of priority basis argument, this comes to the bottom of a method of learning, because it has been said that within 24 hours people forgets more than 60% what they have heard in the previous class. And in our traditional learning system or the class system, if we go, that in the morning there is a constitutional law class, then law of tort, then law of crime, then law of contract, then intellectual property law, 5 or 6 classes, one after another, on out of a different jurisprudence. So it is very difficult to remember or to retain what we have heard from our teachers. So there is a valid question to be asked. Is there any need to continue the lecture system? What is the need of lectures and the classes in a law schools? This is a question which you must ask to yourself. Do the lectures and classes help us to understand law or the purposes for which we are here? These are the questions. And the answer can be given, that way that the answer can be given that yes, still, whatever may be the technological development, whatever may be the scientific development, there is a need to have lectures or to have classes. But it must be blended with some other alternative forms of learning. And that is why I put the question in that way, that is it still relevant? Yes or no? If yes, then how can we maximize our learning from those? If yes, then how can we maximize our learning from those? This is number one question. And the next question is that what are the other alternative way to learn law? If I say that the classes or the lectures is not the only way or the only method of learning, then what are the other alternative way to learn? And here, the question is that how to maximize. Now, I am giving you the answer. I paused the questions in the previous slides. Now I am giving you the answer one by one. That how to maximize. The answer is that you can significantly improve your ability to recall and to build upon what you have heard in the class. That the retention capacity or the capability, you can increase it. Okay. How? Actually, how much will you retain what you have heard in the class? It will depend upon your approach to the lectures. Don't take it otherwise. Many of us, we just sit in the lecture because we need the attendance. Some universities, they have the attendance embargo, that unless and until you have 65% attendance, even BCI prescribes of attendance, otherwise you will not be permitted to appear in the exam. Now I have to get this attendance. If it is the approach, you can't retain anything from the lectures. The next thing, that how you take notes during a lecture. I have seen in my teaching career that many students, they come to the college or the university without having a copy. Now we have the laptop, everyone is carrying the laptop. But believe me, taking notes in the laptop, it is, I'm not saying it is quite difficult. I'm not saying it is impossible. Rather, it is not desirable from the maximization point of learning. So, how to take notes during a lectures, this is a very vital point. And the next thing, what you do after a lecture. What you do after a lecture. If, on these three questions and the answer of these three questions, the answer of these three questions determine, or it will fix that how much you can retain from the lectures or from the class. So the suggestions, these are not my suggestions. Rather, these are the suggestions which I have accumulated from the existing literature. It says that before you go to the class, ideally the night before the class, take a few minutes to look at the course syllabus to answer the following question. You just look at the syllabus. Many of us, many of the students, even they don't have the idea is the syllabus of the course. So, you focus, you take the syllabus, you look at the topic and try to answer the question that on what course module is the professor lecturing. Okay, what is the module the professor is lecturing? Sometimes many students, they are not aware that what is the topic the teacher is going to teach. What are the main principles and authorities in that module? What are the main principles and authorities in that module. For example, the teacher is going to teach amendment. You must at least read Article 368 before night. What do you already know about this module principles? Do you know anything? Just try to recall in the earlier slide. Okay, that is the self-learning system. That what is your idea about the topic, what you actually know, already know. So try to understand, try to recall what you already know about this module's principles. And looking at the topics in the module, what question comes immediately to your mind? Just write down it. Just write down it. For example, the capital punishment. Okay, the teacher is going to teach capital punishment. Immediately it comes to your mind that 5 years back I read a news in the newspaper and the person was given the capital punishment. Then the immediate question comes to your mind that there are some movements going on that that capital punishment should be prohibited because it is against the human rights. Then you may put a question that why the punishment still is in existence in Indian legal system. That can be your question. And the taking notes, this is this that your learning or the maximization of learning, it depends upon how to take notes during a lecture. Now if you look into this, that here it is known as the 2-column approach. Okay, this is known as the 2-column approach. And here you just, the notebook, it is divided just 3 parts. That is, here it is the 2/3. Okay, here it is the 2/3 portion, and it is the 1/3 portion. This column record your notes from the class. Whatever the teacher is saying, the main points, you can take note of this point from here, this portion. That is record notes, okay, from the class. You can write down here. Write down any question, observations you have during the lectures. Any question. Sometimes the teacher, you are not allowed to ask question within the class itself or during the lecture itself. So whenever any question comes to your mind, you just put it right down here so that you will you don't forget it. So write down the question or write down your observation. This is one way of taking notes. This is known as the 2-column approach. And there is another way of taking notes. This is known as Cornell note-taking method. Actually, it was developed by Professor Walter Falk of Cornell University in the year 1950. This is known as the Cornell note-taking method. Here, that is this is known as the Q column. And the measurement has been given. You should not be very much particular about the the mathematical, that is 2.5 inch or 6 inch. But here, this side, you can write down the main ideas, question that connects point. You can draw some diagrams. You can, some sort of study prompts. You can put all these things when after class during review. And here you can put, that is the main lectures. Use concise sentences. Okay, use shorthand symbols, use abbreviations, use list, put space between the points. When all these things you have to done during class. Okay, you have to do all these things during class here, and here you have to do all these things after class or during review. That is, here if you go to the last slide, that what you do after class, actually it is this particular point, what you do after class. Actually, if you don't do anything after class, you are minimizing your learning capacity. So this portion, it is kept for during class, and this portion, it is kept for after class activities or review activities. And there is one, that is the summary column. That is the for top level or the main ideas, use as quick reference area. And this is to be done when? After class or during class review. These are available, this particular format, these are available. You can search it in the Google search engine. This is known as the Cornell note taking method, and the previous one, it is known as the 2-column approach. Maybe you find this particular, that is the Cornell note taking method, as a critical one or the complex one, so that in that case you can follow the 2-column approach. It is very simple, it is quite easy, but very useful. Now, I know here, that some diagrams, you have seen the diagrams, the diagrams. Look at, this is the diagrams. Drawing diagrams, it is the best way of learning, best way to remember. For example, how we can remember the constitution or the entire mechanism or the entire institution of the constitution. It is just like that. Constitution, in the constitution, there are 3 parts. One is legislature, executive, judicial. And so far the legislative is concerned, the president and the parliament. So far the parliament is concerned, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay. And executive, prime ministers, council of ministers. So far the judicial, after judicial, that is the Supreme Court, high courts and the district courts. This is known as the diagram. And by way of doing diagram or written form of diagram, obviously you can remember, you can simply put number of things in a particular way. Even you can put the diagram. Actually, this is a diagram I used while teaching one particular topic in the conflict of laws. This is also known as the private international law. And here, look at the diagram. Actually, I put one particular case in this diagram. That is, here P is the petitioner, who is the husband, and the respondent, okay, the respondent, she is the wife. The husband belongs to country number 1 and the wife belongs to country number 2. And they went to a different country, that is country number 3. And their marriage took place there. That means, for example, one person from, that is one husband, that is one boy from Pakistan, and one girl from India. Both of them met at Nepal, and they married. They married according to the law and the rights or the customary rights which exist in Nepal. And subsequently, after marriage, some dispute arises. Then the questions which comes, that in which court the matter is to be brought, whether it is the court of Nepal or court of country 2 or court of country 1. The next question which may comes, that is the choice of law. Which law will apply? Because these people, they are from the different countries. That is, which law will apply? This is known as this is the issue of the conflict of laws or the international law. Sometimes it may happen that H from country 1, W from country 2 went to the country 3, and after marriage they permanently shifted in country number 4, and that is their intended domicile. For example, they shift to Japan and they wanted to settle there. They permanently, intended to permanently settle there. And subsequently there is a dispute. Then what would be the provision in relation to the choice of law and the choice of forum? Now, this sort of preparing the diagram also helps you to understand the critical legal problem in a better way. Now, we read a number of cases. You can remember the cases. Generally, our in the Indian judiciary or the Indian judges, they prefer to write a long judgment. Okay, here the charge sheet is of 50,000 pages, judgment is of 1,000 pages. These are the scenario. And there is a very popular saying that my teacher said that law can be learned in a better way by reading case laws. And I started Keshavanand Bharati, and I am 5th year still reading Keshavanand Bharati. Now, this is a joke, obviously, but reading case law is one of the method of learning. Okay, so far the law is concerned. So in case of a case law study, you can put the case law study by way of facts. splitting the facts into this point. For example, here I tried to put one particular case by way of facts. That is the Lakshminathan versus Ramakrishna pictures. And within this, 6 particular line, I have summarized the entire facts of the case. Okay, so you can remember in this way also. Now, reading legal text, we have to read lot of books, lot of literature. Now, there is a technique to reading. And without giving any theoretical discussion, any theoretical lecture on this, just I want to give you certain tips that when you are reading, please figure out what and why you are reading. Why, what, and why are you reading? There is a very good book I will mention at the last slide. Okay, that is How to Read Faster and Better. There is a very good book on this, and you can take the help of this book. And from this book, that if before you go, just figure out and why you are looking, you are reading. For example, if you take the Ananda Bazar Patrika, and if you are looking for a particular information, you just give, you will find that your mind is so prepared that your mind will read only that portion of the news, not the other portion. Rather, your eyes will also find out only that portion. Identify question which you want to learn from the material. If you are reading a material, identify the question at the very first hand. Vary the pace of your reading. Okay, when you are reading some critical portion, some observation, try to little bit slow. But when you are reading the fact or some sort of quite general statement, okay, you just hurry up as early as possible. So vary the pace of your reading. Sometimes you must be slow, sometimes you must be fast. Use your hands. I think you can, again, I can ask you, to recall your childhood learning. Your mother or your parents, they told you, just put the finger on A for apple, B for ball. That is the use of your hand. Admit confusion and get help. If you face any problem, admit confusion and get help from the others. And that others may be your senior, maybe your classmate, maybe your teachers, or now we have different technology. You can take help from theirs only. Now, alternative way to learn law. Now, here in this category, what I found that there are some alternative ways. For example, the case studies. Okay, that is the law of torts or the constitutional law. These are the example. This is not the exhaustive one. These are for example. Okay, you can include some other branches of law within this head. Law of torts. To better understand the law of torts or the constitutional law, I think case law study is the very better way. Okay, obviously the class lectures or the lectures or some sort of reading some sort of article, research article, obviously it is good. But if you go through the case laws and read the case laws quite carefully, it will give you some better idea in relation to the constitutional law or the law of torts. Problem solving. For example, the law of crime and the property related dispute. Okay, in case of property related disputes and the law of crime, you must always try to solve the problem based question, or the for example, any incidents happened and that has been reported in the newspaper. Take it as a legal problem. Try to find out what are the relevant provisions of the law. Try to find out that how the matter can be argued. Try to find out what may be the consequences of the cases. That is quite common in relation to the law of crime and the property dispute. For example, few days back, that is one murder case. That is the murder of a lawyer. Okay, and the wife was convicted. And here the most interesting part is that since there was no direct evidence that the punishment, it was given by the court on the basis of the surroundings evidence or the circumstantial evidence, and those evidence are purely based upon the electronic devices. For example, the WhatsApp messages, okay, the search history or the browsing history of the wife, etc., etc. So, this is the problem solving approach, that these are the evidence which are available and how to deal with this. Next, alternative way of learning, basically it is the moot court exercise. Now, moot court exercise, it is obviously a compulsory component under the BCI regulation also. and try to participate into different form of competition. Nowadays, number of competitions are being organized by different universities, colleges, including the national law universities, or some organizations like this one. They are organizing some sort of debate competition, essay writing competition. Now, if you want to participate, if you participate in the debate competition, it is not only that you will learn by way of self reading. Rather, when you are participating, when you are listening the argument of the other side, obviously you will be able to learn so many things, and by way of this you can maximize your learning about law. Now I am coming to the most important part, that is the use of the information technology, more specifically the internet. For example, I have been asked to deliver one lecture in relation to legal education. Now, these are the search engine I have used. For example, I tried to find out some case laws where the term legal education appears, and the court discussed about the legal education. And I went just the Indian Kanun website, and I just put the words legal education, and these are the materials I found. These are the materials I found. That is, and the keyword, that is the Bar Council of India, Advocates Act, State Bar Council, education, legal. These are the keywords I found. That next, just I request all of you, to read this particular line which is visible on your monitor. I'm just reading this portion. Okay, that thanks to the pandemic and its economic fallout, we are all philosophers now. We are all philosophers now. Okay, that means here the pandemic, that is COVID-19. We are talking about the COVID-19. Why it has been said like that? It has been said like that because from Socrates to Camus, all the thinkers, they came up with new sort of thinking when the adversity turns our lives upside down. That means most of the thoughtful ideas came in the human society when the adversity turns our lives upside down. And I think many of you have come into this particular picture. This is a particular screenshot I have taken from my Facebook wall. I don't know how many of you have come across this particular item on your social media. Actually, this is the essay, one essay. It was published in the Wall Street Journal on August 30. And here the essay, how can we find certainty in an uncertain world? In times of upheaval, philosophy may help the answers we need. Okay, now many of you have come across, I'm quite sure, but how many we have, gone through this essay? And if you have gone through this essay, believe me, you will get the idea from Socrates to Cicero and what they have thought about a situation like pandemic or the COVID-19 today. So philosophy for a time of crisis. That is, by way of this, you can learn, you can gather some sort of legal knowledge from the this sort of writing. Now, when I have been asked to give, this particular lecture, that is the learning, I tried to understand that what is the future of legal education. Now, this is a picture of Justice Chandrachud, who is a sitting judge of India. He delivered one lecture in Harvard Law School. Okay, and this is a center on the legal profession. He delivered one lecture, and this lecture is very much available. And the topic of the lecture was the future of legal profession, the future of the Indian legal profession. Now, if you read this particular article, you will find that being a judge, actually, is a very, well spoken and a very learned judge. He tried to, accumulate that what the young lawyers must know from the contemporary learning system. Okay, what are the qualities of the young lawyers must have during the this era, that is the globalization, or during the era of knowledge economy? Okay, he asked, and he also suggested that how can we increase our learning capability or the capacity. Similarly, in my earlier slide, I mentioned the that is the eminent jurist Mark Galanter. Actually, Mark Galanter, he wrote one article, that is the Indian Legal System Vision 2020. I read it and I got the idea that how the legal system is to be changed. And Mark Galanter, he emphasized, he pointed out that what are the changes must be brought within the legal system and how the legal law students must prepare themselves for this future world. No, why, you people are listening to me. If people are listening to me, if people are spending your time, that is the Sunday evening, okay, not necessary, not necessary. If you look into the learning law, you just Google it, and the video option, you just that commencement speech of 2018 academic year, Professor NL Mitra. Similarly, the legal skills, professional legal education versus general legal education, or the blending of the legal education, you just go into the particular video. Importantly, I'm just talking about this particular video. This particular video, many of us, we know that the WTO, the TRIPS agreement, the WTO negotiation, if you watch this particular video, if you listen this lecture, you will be able to know that under what circumstances India negotiated or India entered into the TRIPS agreement. What was the problem? That USA came to negotiate the TRIPS agreement with a team of more than 2,000 lawyers, and India went to negotiate TRIPS agreement with a team of only 5 people, with a 5-person team. Now, this is, they can give you a very better idea, and these are quite available. And you can learn so many things. That is the contemporary learning. Besides this, what are mentioned in our books, what are mentioned in our research paper, you can also learn from this particular thing. Okay, now I was talking about the information. Getting information is not a tough task today. It was a problem when we are the students of LLB or LLM level. For example, we know the search engine, the Google. There is also a search engine, that is the Google Scholar. And I just put learning law, and here so many research articles came out. And believe me, in my lectures, I actually or primarily followed this particular writings, which was published in Hey Online, P.T. Wangan, that is the learning strategies for law students. This is a very nice article. Okay, 97 pages article. It was published in the year 1987, and it entirely discussed the concept of the learning strategies for the law students. And whatever I am saying, whatever I am telling to you, whatever I am trying to discuss or convey to you, it is based upon this thing. That means I can learn, even I learned something, while reading all these things, while going through this information, I learned so many things about the learning law and how to develop this thing. I don't know how many of you know, that is, we have a national digital library. This is free. There are thousands of books which are available online. Okay, you can go through those books, you can read it. Okay, and how many resources are there? It is mentioned. It is mentioned. I don't know whether you can see it or not. That is 50 lakh to 50 lakhs, more than 50 lakhs resources are there. And all the books, including the science, engineering, social science, literature, law and management, all the books are here. You can go through the books, you can read it online. Okay, and you can you can maximize your learning, you can maximize your knowledge, and this is knowledge. Now, after discussing, I think I have taken a long time, but what I am trying to say, that if you asked me to summarize, or rather, towards summing up, I towards summing up, I want to say few things, and you must listen this quite carefully. Okay, that I believe, I agree that there is a difference between the function lawyers serve and how they perceived by the public. Public perception about the lawyers, I agree, not so good. But believe me, lawyers are the person who are the fighters of the freedoms, who are the counselor of the society, who fighting for the just causes. Maybe the society looks upon for a different reason. That is a different point. Another point, that before 1980, law was not visible as a legal profession. But after 1980, the legal sector has totally changed, and there is a drastic change in the legal profession. Okay, legal profession. And it is because of the globalization and increasing economic activity of the globalized world that changed the legal profession or the landscape of the legal profession entirely. And in such a situation, the legal education or the learning law must inculcate the higher standard of professional ethics. Believe me, in India, till today, even now, it is the only profession which is based upon the ethics. Okay, as per the Bar Council rules, we can't make any advertisement about our own profession, and that is the ethics based profession. It is not a business. Lawyering is not a business, it is a profession, and it is a spirit of public service. And with the development of the science and technology, in view of the complexities of the problem, the social problem, okay, and in view of the continuous need of the people's life, the study of law, it must be multidisciplinary, multifunctional, contextual, and contemporary to meet the challenges of the internationalization. Now we say that we are a global citizen, we are living in global village. That is why we should not confine ourselves only within a particular legal system. Maybe you are in India having knowledge, sufficient knowledge upon the Indian laws, but you may be given a task to deal with the law of Singapore, and that is why you must know the entire legal system, and you must know the technique how to study the law and what should be the approach towards the study or towards the subject law. And there is a difference between a fact and assumption, as I already mentioned. Okay, and there is a difference between reasoning and guessing. As a lawyer, we must identify the fact, we must identify the reason, we must take the decision on the basis of the reasoning, not on the basis of guessing. And we must train ourselves to do that. We must train ourselves so that we can identify the fact, we must train ourselves so that we can find out the reason in order to give the decision. And at the same time, the last one I want to say that we must train ourselves to become a generation of new ideas, talent in the changing world. We must come with some sort of new ideas, and we must have to new talent so that we can cope up with the changing situation of the world or with the changing world. In the last slide, as I already mentioned earlier, admit confusion. This is a very vital thing. And I want to read out one portion, that there is nothing wrong with not understanding something. It is not a matter, it is not a true proposition that all of us, we have to know each and everything. Okay. There is no such contract, there is no such command. Rather, if we can't understand, if we not if we can't understand, or if we don't understand, there is nothing wrong in it. Chances are there that if you don't understand something, other don't either. It is not that you are the only one who couldn't understand or who don't understand. There may be some other people also, but don't stop there. Don't stop there. Legal professionals need to know what they know and what they don't know. Legal professionals, it is the legal professionals, rather I must say that as a legal professionals, we must be aware more what we don't know rather than what we know. With this, I am concluding my discussion, and these are the books I have taken help to deliver this short lectures, and that is the books. Only one books it is there. 45, that is the um, Ganville and Williams, that is the Learning the Law, 1945. But you can look into these books. These are certain materials I already mentioned. You can look, you can take follow one books, that is the Norman Lewis. The name of the book is How to Read Better and Faster. Okay, this book has been originally published in the year 1945. There it is mentioned how to use your hand, how to use your eyes to know the to read quite effectively. So these are the books or the resources or the research articles which I have consulted in order to prepare these lectures. With this, I want to thanks all of you for your patient hearing. Now over to the organizers.
Uh, Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure the hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah. You are audible.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for the immersive and cohesive session in which we got an insight of how to deal with the various tools that is available for the study of law and how to go about studying in a much better and faster as well as in a much more immersive manner that will enable us to retain better. As you just mentioned about the article, because I had read the article which you just spoke about, the philosophy for a time of crisis in the Wall Street Journal, which
Hmm,
talks about Socrates to Camus, and it also talks about
hmm.
Montaigne, if I remember correctly. So basically,
Yeah.
I think they were talking. They were basically talking about those times in which there was plague, bubonic plague, from starting from the Athenian plague to the bubonic plague in the times of Socrates, to where the people actually realize they do not have resources which are good enough, the resources which are
Hmm,
necessary in order to survive a traumatic situation like that of a crisis like we are having at the present situation, in which the
hmm,
maybe the government is also not coming up with the certain tools in which they can
hmm,
develop certain tools by which they can combat the crisis situation. My question to you, sir, is the first question is that there are so many people in our audience, including me, who are from traditional law schools. For students from
hmm,
traditional law schools, I believe, especially in the districts, they do not have a lot of access to materials that you spoke about, which is like in plenty in the national law schools, as I know from
hmm,
my juniors and my friends. So my point is, sir, in times of crisis of such a material crisis, how
hmm,
can we
hmm.
supplement our reading, and especially in time of crisis sitting at home, since the books and everything is not accessible to us, sir? That's my first question.
Uh, First of all, I'm absolutely agree with your first part, the observation of, the first part of your observation, but the second part of your observation, I'm not agree. Believe me, every one of us, okay, even in the district level or in the, very urban areas, also even the village areas, all of us, we are carrying one smartphone.
Right, sir.
Okay.
Right, sir.
Okay. And in the smartphone we have the YouTube. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we have the Google. Okay, tell me what information you need, what are the books you want, tell me, I will show you online. Okay,
Right,
I will show you online. Okay, for
right,
example, these are the resources, these journal articles, these are available, these are
right,
available,
right, sir.
these are available. Listen, traditional NLU, I don't believe in this, the differentiation. Okay, I don't believe in this. Okay, I have completed my LLB, LLM, PhD from the traditional university. Okay, I
Right,
taught, I started my teaching career in a private law college. Okay, then in a private university. Now I am working in a national law university. Okay,
right, sir.
so this classification, I don't believe in all these things. I believe in the self regulated learning system, self
Right, sir.
regulated learning system, that you have to control your own behavior. Okay, you are going through the Facebook. Okay, you are going through the news of Riya Chakraborty, you are going through the news of for example Kangana Ranawat. uh, there is no harm in knowing all these things, but if there is one lectures Facebook, for example, the I think all of you know Nalsar vice chancellor of my teacher Professor Faizan Mustafa sir.
Right,
He
sir.
ran one YouTube channel, that is the legal awareness,
Right,
on
sir.
each and every topic. On each and every topic he write on the news, in the newspaper, as well as he some sort of YouTube lectures, and it is available, you just listen to them, you just listen
Right,
to them. So the point is that during the period of crisis, actually during the period of crisis, this particular Wall Street Journal, I read it from a different context. What is my understanding is that, my understanding is that you know that it gives us, or we got an opportunity to look back to ourselves, to introspect, to introspect. I usually say that we are running after something, but we don't know for which we are looking for. Okay,
right,
I always say these things, that I know I want to recall Rabindranath Tagore. এরা সুখের লাগি চাহে প্রেম, প্রেম মেলে না ও সে সুখ চলে যায়। This is not the fact. Actually, we must have some sort of pre-calculative mind. Okay, when
Right.
you are in the classroom, you must be aware for what I am here, what I want to
Right.
know, all these things. Even online classes are going on in the many I came to know many of my colleagues, they are saying that the students, they just logged in but they are not there. They
Listening
need
to
the
it.
attendance. Now if it is the approach, obviously you can't learn. If it is the
Right,
approach,
sir.
obviously you can't learn, because there are different ways of learning. Okay,
Right.
one way is reading, one way is listening, and one way, that another way is observing. Observation,
Right.
listening, and reading. Okay, now listening is also a good part. Okay, because it is very difficult, maybe for example, whatever literature I have referred, for many of you maybe it is quite difficult to refer all those literature, but it is quite easy to listen my lectures at this point of time. Though I am not saying that I am the boss in this area and you have to listen to me, I'm not saying like that, but I tried my level best and I referred all this literature, and it was quite easy for all of you to listen to this. Now if you only rely upon reading, not listening, or if you only rely upon listening, not reading and observing, then obviously you will not be able to maximize your learning.
Right, sir. As you pointed out, the debates and
Mm.
moot courts come into play in that regard.
Yeah.
Definitely, sir.
Mm.
Sir, I think we have questions from Hooghly Mohsin College and Burdwan University. So the first question, so
Mm.
the question is, how can we improve our skill of preparing brief? Shumit Ghosh asked this question. That's all he
Okay,
asked.
first of all, I will be happy to answer the questions from the topic. Okay, that is the
Okay.
maximization of learning, or the knowledge maximization. Brief, that means this is quite a practical aspect. Now unless and until you give me the facts or the entire issues, obviously the brief of a constitutional related matter, writ petition, and
Right.
injunction petition, the brief preparation of brief, it would be quite a different. And, the
Right.
answer can't be given in that way. But I can tell you that how can you maximize your learning about preparation of brief. I can tell you.
Right.
In this case, you just go through the briefs prepared by some renowned lawyers. Renowned lawyers doesn't mean that the lawyers who are earning more, rather whose work has been or have been appreciated by the court. Okay, appreciated by the court. Sometimes a brief prepared by a junior lawyer may be appreciated by a court. Okay, so you just look into this brief and try to follow that particular technique. But one core idea I must tell you, that brief, it should be a complete document which will give the necessary information about the fact in issue and applicable law on that particular legal dispute.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. I hope Shumit's question has been answered. And sir, the last question we are taking is by Rajiv Kumar Das from Burdwan University LLM. He asks,
Hmm.
what are the important points or things one should keep in mind while getting the research papers published in a peer-reviewed journal, and how to understand the authenticity of the journal before giving the research paper to the journals? That is his question.
Uh, yeah, this is a good question, I must say. First of all, you just go to the University Grants Commission website, and the University Grant Commission, UGC, they published one. This is known as the UGC Care List. Okay, that is University Grant Commission approved certain journal which they recognize for the purpose of career advancement or for the purpose of recruitment. You will be
APIs.
quite surprised. You will be quite surprised, though there is a huge debate in relation to that particular list. out of I think more than 5,000 journals in India, only 25 journals are mentioned in the UGC care list.
I
Okay,
see.
so to answer
There was
this
an
question, it is very simple. Yeah, yeah. You just go to the UGC care list. If the journal is mentioned therein, then only you can submit, or you shall submit. Otherwise not. Otherwise not. And
right.
authenticity. So far the authenticity is concerned, authenticity it is declared by the UGC. Okay. It doesn't mean that your research work it has no value. Yes, it has value. It can be published elsewhere. For example, I'm telling you, National University of Juridical Science, Kolkata, they published 2 law journals. Okay, and those law journals were referred by the Supreme Court in number of judgments: NUJS Law Review and Journal of Law and Society. Okay, and those journals, the articles of those journals were referred by the different high courts, including Supreme Court number of times. Unfortunately, these are not UGC listed journal, UGC care listed journal. Okay, because if you want to be recognized as if the journal, if you want to recognize your journal as a UGC care listed journal, then you must go through certain procedure. Okay, maybe some university thought, okay, let me not go through this procedure. My journal is my journal. Okay, so this is the criteria. The answer is very simple. You just go through the UGC care list. If it is mentioned there, you submit the article for publication. Otherwise, better not to publish it there, because otherwise you will not get it counted for the purpose of recruitment, for the purpose of promotion. I'm not saying that your research is meaningless. Obviously, it is useful. The people may know, the people come to know, but in such a circumstances, it is not, it will not be counted.
Right, sir.
Okay.
I understand.
Mm.
I think there we
Mm.
have a last question which is appearing on the screen. I do not know if that's
This is this is
related to
this is
our
in relation to criminal law, responsibility and
topic.
liability. Obviously, I am not going to answer this question because it
Sir
requires
is
some
not
sort
going
of
to answer this
extra.
question.
Okay,
Right, sir.
because it
Exactly.
requires
It
some
is
sort of
background.
additional perspective. Then I have to go into the mens rea, actus rea liability, and I have to cope up with
Right,
the
sir.
Indian Penal Code, and I have to discuss the 511 sections and to discuss all these things. Okay.
I think yes, sir. A trick to memorize sections for students, sir. Someone is asking. Shatodipa
Um,
Mukherjee, Kaji Nazrul
mm,
University.
mm.
So
Uh,
sections, how to
but
memorize the section.
the trick, I can tell my points. I usually, first of all, actually, law is a subject who is meant for the common man. Okay, law is a subject which is meant for the common man, because from cradle to grave, all of us, we are bound by law. All of us, from president to the rickshaw puller, all are bound to follow the law. And law is very simple. Law is not complex. It is people like us who always try to present law in a complex manner so that they can retain the monopoly over that profession. It is the problem. It is the lawyers, they try to represent the law in such a manner so that they can retain the monopoly. Otherwise, there is no need to write a judgment for 5,000 pages. Okay, it is not like that. So what I am trying to say, that the trick is that you don't try to remember the section as it is written in the statute, as it is written in the act. Rather, you try to understand or try to find out the ingredients of that particular section and try to remember it in your own words. If you talk about the tricks, I usually apply the tricks that read. Okay, many of us, they can remember a particular section by 2 times readings or 5 times reading. In my case, it may be 20 times, it may be 25 times. I have to read for 25 times. Okay, that is the trick to remember the section.
Right, sir. I think we are at the end. Only I think there is a compulsive question which is in students. Like, do you think there
You
is
can ask. I
like
have no problem. You can ask. You can ask any number of
I'm
questions. I have no problem.
I am asking on behalf of everyone because that is like a common question which is in the minds of the students who are going to appear for various exams. So, do you think there is one preparation which can, consider and encapsulate all the preparations for say different things where the syllabus is totally same, like for an LLM entrance or a
Hmm,
judiciary exam or a legal
hmm,
officer exam? Do you think there
hmm,
is one way in which the
hmm,
students who appear for all these exams can
hmm.
study like one single way, or we have to study separately for all these exams? This is my question.
No,
Last
not
question.
separately, not separately. This is a very good question. They many of my students, they also ask this question. So far, I know I'm well aware about the syllabus of Calcutta, all the universities in Bengal and many other universities of other state. I'm well aware about that. I'm telling you, so far the LLB level syllabus is concerned, okay, which is usually being taught in the traditional universities or in the national law universities. Actually, those syllabus well covered all the important aspects of the particular subject. Uh, I should not take name of any particular university, that when the university says that the constitutional law syllabus, it is the Constitution of India, okay, or the India evidence law, the Evidence Act. It is not the syllabus. It is not the course outline. Obviously, I must tell this thing. It is not the course outline. Okay. So, in that circumstances, I can tell you that you can you can take any course that is the model course outline developed by any university. Okay. You just stick to that particular syllabus. Okay. Uh, so far, the university exam and the competitive exam is concerned, that university exam always expect some sort of critical analysis, okay, or the analytical form of discussion from the students. So far, the competitive exam is concerned, those competitive exams are basically on the basis of the information. They ask from the latest information from the subject on that particular topic. Obviously, they may also ask for some sort of critical discussion, but they specifically ask. Unless and until it is asked specifically, it is mere informative, giving the latest information, the latest case law, the latest amendment, etc. But so far the university level exam is concerned, it is always quite analytical. Okay, it is some sort of critical analysis or the theoretical discourse or some sort of amalgamation. So from that particular perspective, you have to discuss. Now if you ask me, is that can one preparation, I always say yes, one preparation is enough. For example, if you read one uh, a good book, okay, I'm not saying the best book, okay, I'm not saying the best book, I'm saying one good book, and if you read it, quite not as a selective one. For example, when you are reading, for example, the distribution of legislative power, don't read only article 245, you complete it. Okay, the entire provisions, that it's 245 to 255, you read it entirely. And when you read it entirely with the relevant and the latest case laws, obviously it will help you to appear in the university exam, as well as it will also help you to appear in the competitive exam.
So I think we do not have any more questions up our chat box. So
Hmm,
before we draw up, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving us your precious time on a Sunday evening, and
hmm,
discussing all the important aspects which are to be kept in mind while we are studying law, especially for those who have just started out studying law. I think it's very much beneficial for them, as well as for those who are maybe in their LLM or will start their PhD courses sooner or later. So I think that's a really good insight, sir. Thank you so much. I hope you'll be
hmm,
back again with a new topic for all of us, because that insight was really nice and it was a very hearty discussion. Like from my end, also, thank you so much for giving us such a wonderful piece of your mind, which we will take along with us for
hmm.
the time that is coming. Thank you so much, sir.
Obviously, I must thank all of you for organizing or taking initiatives to organize this type of program. Obviously, it gives us some sort of space to share our thought with you people. Obviously, you are the you are the end level. Actually, if we are the giver, then you are the taker. Now, whatever I am giving, I don't know, sometimes unless and until I get the feedback, sometimes it becomes quite impossible to know whether what I am giving is appropriate or proper for them or not. So it gives us some idea. At the same time, it gives you some sort of idea that how to take or how to frame our mind or frame your mind so that you can take. Obviously, I must apologize for the initial technical problem, obviously, which was not under
Which
my
was not
control.
intended, definitely, sir.
Which was not my in control.
Right.
But obviously, I enjoyed the session. Okay. And the last question, the last thing I must suggest, that always try to be, very much interrogative. Okay.
Right.
Ask
Right.
question, have some question in your mind. Okay.
Right.
My one of my teacher, always say that if you he used to say, any question, if we say no sir, no question, then he said that it simply means two things: that you have not understand anything, so that there
And
is no question, or you have
right.
understood anything, which I don't believe.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So this is the point. With this, again, I must thanks all of you organizer. I must individually thanks
Orun,
Orun for
come online.
contacting me.
Orunda, can you come online?
uh,
Orunda, can you come
mm,
online? Hello.
for contacting me. With this, I'm concluding. I want to say all of you goodbye, good night, stay
Good night,
safe
sir.
and stay
Thank
happy.
you. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
thank you, thank you.